Now, depending on your kayak and what kind of references you have, bear in mind you want the distance between these front and rear feet to be pretty close to the same. If they're off a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything, but in this case I have a nice reference, some screws I can go off of, and so I can kind of eyeball it. So I'm just peeling the tape off. I've already done the other one, and again, this is kind of when this is the hardest part, because it's kind of a floppy, it's just kind of a floppy octopus until you get, now I've got everything stuck down. Okay, I'm going to make one more dry run. I'm going to pull the rear pins, okay, which is what you would do under normal operation. Okay, then I'm going to fold this forward and make sure it swings down nicely, which it does. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and remove, actually I'm looking at this, I need to adjust. See, this is a perfect example. I can adjust this for reference. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to remove the front two also. Okay, and now we're going to get the drill and the 9/64 bit, and we're going to screw these feet in, and that'll be the toughest part of the whole installation. Okay, so again, I'm gonna drill the outer two holes. The center hole is something that's used on our Stand and Fish product, but in this case we're going to do the two outboard holes. We're going to drill 9/64 holes right in the center. Okay, go ahead and catch these real quick. Only takes a second. Now I'm going to change over to my number 2 Phillips. Put it on a slow speed for driving the screws in. Now we'll go ahead and drive the 4 screws in. Obviously you don't want to over tighten them, you can just snug them up. This polypropylene is a pretty tough plastic. It's amazing what kind of holding power they have when you pop these screws in here. Just be careful not to move the U-bracket. Now we'll catch the other side. Oops. There we go. Okay, now we're going to set the U-stand back in place. Like so. Okay. Now, pour it back up. In this case, it may not go, the pins may not go in. If they don't, you can always ream them out with a 1/4-inch drill bit, which I may have to do here. It's just kind of standard operating procedure. See here, take a look. Yeah, we're going to need to ream this one out. So we'll take a 1/4-inch bit. And we'll go ahead and there we go. Should go now, hopefully. don't want to over ream it. There we go, because we want it nice and snug. Now let's check and see. You can see here, see how this kind of finds its own spot. It's about an inch, okay? So I'm going to just put a couple marks on here. Put a line between them just so I don't lose that. Now we're going to install this rubber pad that ultimately we will pin this with screws, and then we'll put this on with soft soap, and then we'll come back up, tweak it back up, and it'll rest in its final resting place right here where your belly hits, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to lock all these joints with these number 8 panhead screws that we supply. I'm going to drill 9/64 holes about a ½ inch up, okay, or a ½ inch down. This is already locked in here, but so we got to do the bottom one here. We have to do above and below this shoulder joint, okay, and then the same thing stands on the back. We have to do just the lower one, again about a ½ inch down, okay. So I'm going to change the bit back to our 9/64, assuming I can find it, which I did. And while you're doing this, you want to make sure that you've got the joint seated all the way, obviously. Okay, and we'll use this. And again, when you're drilling on a round surface, I talk about this in all my videos, you want to start out kind of slow. Make sure you're not coming in from an angle because it'll slide on you. So get nice and square, see? And we'll start out with a lot of pressure, going real slow. And you see, we just get a little, once we have a little indentation there, now the drill bit won't slide on us and we can go full speed. Okay? Now I'm holding the joint down while I'm doing this to make sure it stays kind of in the lock position. Okay, and I'll do the same thing over here. Again, about a ½ inch down, 3/8 of an inch, not really critical. Okay. Once again, start slow. Once I got a bite, now I can go fast. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop a couple screws in here. Jesus. And you'll continue this, obviously, on all the joints. Oops. Want to use a slow speed when you're running the screws in. There we go. There we go. So that's how you complete the joints. Again, above, below, but you don't, at this point, we're just going to do the bottom side because we still have to pull this top off so we can get the pad, the final pad on here. So right now we're going to leave these top 2, this is very important, leave these top 2 screws off. We're going to lock the bottom and then the 4 joints on the bottom, and then we'll pull this off and we'll get the pad on, lock this, and then we're completely done. Now we've got to remove the top 2 angle pieces and we're going to install the pad. And to do that, we're going to pull this off, spread it apart, and then we've got to slip this guy down and around like that. And then we can lock our our adjustable bar in place. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and pull the top off here, and you can see this will come apart, of course. And now we're going to use soft soap or dishwashing soap or whatever, something slippery obviously. We're going to coat a little bit on the inside here. We're going to coat the outside of the bar, and then we're going to slip the pad on down where we've got enough room to insert the set screws. So I'll show you that in the next step. Now we're going to install the pad on the angle, and to do that I'm going to put a little soft soap on the angle here. Don't need to overdo it, but you want to use plenty because if it doesn't slide on, it will not be fun. So you can see I'm putting a pretty liberal amount. I might even add a little bit here. You don't want to soap all the way down. You need to hold one end, keep it dry. Okay, I'm going to put just a smidgen more. I'm actually going to take a little bit and run it also inside the foam pad here. Okay. And what you want to do is get your hand cleaned off after you get the soap on. Okay. I'm going to go clean my hand now and come back.